Welcome to That's Handsome Sports. I am Brandon. I see myself like a handsome Joe Flacco in this Ravens throwback airplane photo perna. Once Joe Flacco got paid, he used that money for fitted suits and handsome guy haircuts. This version of Joe Flacco is how I see myself in the mirror. That is a false sense of confidence loving parents will instill in a natural-born narcissist, because deep down, I know in reality, I more closely resemble a melting Rudy Giuliani sweating out his hair dye in a press conference. But this is not my therapy session, so today we can talk about Taysom Hill getting the start for New Orleans, the Seahawks win against the Cardinals in a key NFC West Thursday night game, fine art, yes, fine art, and why Keelan Cole is my new favorite Jaguar. Sorry, Gardner Minshew, until your green thumb heals, you are dead to me. Whew. That's good, sports. Please, if you want football news, humor videos on YouTube, subscribe here. I will have Patreon shoutouts at the end of today's episode, so stick around, because right now we are sponsored by Raycon and the everyday E25 earbuds at buyraycon.com/thatsgood. Now's the time to start dropping hints that you want the most affordable premium wireless earbuds for the holidays. Better yet, hide a pair in the holiday stuffing as a surprise gift for someone you love. Imagine their surprise when they hear music playing in their belly. Okay, that's stupid, but you know what's not? Raycon's 45-day return policy. The everyday E25 earbuds are a perfect gift for the people you don't know what to get. Everyone listens to music or podcasts, and most importantly, dragon fantasy stories. And right now, Raycon is offering the best prices of the year, made even better with my 20% discount in the description box. Click the link buyraycon.com/thatsgood and order now, because that discount is just for a limited time. Anyone interested in purchasing some fine art? Some Al Davis art? _STD_ shared this painting with me on Twitter. I can confirm this is an oil on canvas, mostly silver and black. The photo used is from when the only thing keeping him alive was money, evil, and that band-aid on his forehead. STD's artist friend from Chicago wanted to paint a West Coast villain, so he explained who Al Davis was to him. The entire reason the internet was invented was so I could one day say an STD gave me a painting of Al Davis. Now, Jimmy Fallon picked the wrong week to have NFL players sneak odd phrases into their press conferences.
I run yards like switch hard, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a saying my mom used to say, it must be maple syrup because butter don't drizzle like that.
That's why you call them touchdowns and not touch-ups.
As solid as that idea was, sometimes reality is better than scripted jokes. It's why I'll never get the same amount of views as the Real Housewives of whatever fucking city. Keelan Cole, who has never spoken to or watched Jimmy Fallon, to my knowledge, said this during his press conference this week.
I like the warm weather. I like being here. I like being a Jaguar. I'd rather be a Jaguar than a Falcon or like a bird or some shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I'd rather be a Jaguar than a Falcon or a bird or some shit. This officially makes Cole more anti-bird than Lakers fans in the 80s. So, Seattle, Philly, Arizona, Atlanta, and Baltimore, do not waste your time pursuing Keelan Cole this offseason when he becomes a free agent.
The bird or some shit, you know what I'm saying?
Now, for a brief moment in football time, we believed Giants head coach Joe Judge got into a fist fight with 6'8" offensive line coach Marc Columbo and then fired him. Some sort of confrontation occurred when Judge told Columbo they were bringing in former Patriots offensive line coach as a consultant, Dave DeGulo. The extent to which Judge and Columbo quarreled, we will never know, but Columbo was definitely fired. I will say, Ian Rappaport is starting to pull ahead of Adam Schefter in terms of being my favorite NFL news breaker. First, he took that Manscaped suspension like a man, and now here's Ian responding and acknowledging Barry McCockiner in this story we all thought was a Barry headline. Seeing Rappy acknowledge Barry is an indication of his impact on the world of fake sports news, and it almost brings a single tear to my eye. Another football story that might sound too good to be true is that Jason Wright, president of the Washington football team, says that the Washington football team is definitely in contention as the new permanent name for the organization. In similar news, the CEO of Starbucks is considering changing its name to Coffee. McDonald's will just be Hamburger, and Chipotle will now be Good Morning Wet Shits. This is what Wright said to justify the idea of continuing on with the laziest and dumbest name in all sports. People are excited about the idea of a club that has an identity rooted solely in the area it represents. No, Jason, they are excited about getting a cool new name. They are not excited at the idea of being laughed at by literally every football fan on earth outside, say, maybe the Rams logo design team. If you want to remain a joke, then yes, please, I beg of you, keep the name football team. Now, people don't really think of the word toughness when you say Drew Brees. The same way they don't think of integrity when you say Tom Brady, or safe when you say Ben Roethlisberger, or good when you say Drew Lock. However, Drew Brees is actually a tough son of a bitch. No offense to Drew's mom. Now that we know he threw a touchdown pass with several fractured ribs and a collapsed lung during a pandemic, he should be known as a tough guy on the football field, and that collapsed lung touchdown pass should be on his official stat sheet and mentioned when he's inducted into the Hall of Fame. I honestly think the Saints can weather this storm without Brees like they did last year with Teddy Bridgewater. I'd rather have Bridgewater right now than Jameis Winston because I don't think they really need a gunslinger in that offense. They really just require a guy that's going to put the ball in Alvin Kamara's hands and not turn it over, which is why they have announced that Taysom Hill will get the start and not Jameis Winston, like we were all anticipating. Either Sean Payton watched Jameis Winston throw 9 interceptions at practice and was like, Jameis, how did you do that on just 5 passing attempts? Or the Saints were like, maybe, if we think Taysom Hill is really the future quarterback here, as that $21 million salary we gave him would suggest, we should just see what we have in the Stormin' Mormon, nickname trademarked Brandon Perna 2020. I know many of you wanted to see Jameis Winston start for the Saints as the ironic play. And I too said if Jameis Winston heel walked every drop back, I would support it. But we know who Jameis is, a physically gifted QB who can wow you with his arm talent, but is also a guy who is completely colorblind when it comes to identifying different jersey colors. Basically, the Saints need to see if throwing is the final tool in the Swiss Army knife of tools. We know Taysom can run. We know Taysom can block and catch touchdowns in playoff games and hell, even tackle. We've seen him throw from the Wildcat formation, but when you give a guy $21 million, you want to see how he performs when he's asked to throw 25 to 35 passes in a game. Hill is 10 for 18 for 205 passing yards and 1 pick all time. Right now, Rams punter Johnny Hekker has a better NFL passing resume than Taysom Hill, but giving Sean Payton a guy who could run a Ravens-style offense gets me excited to see the 30-year-old Hill from Pocatello, Idaho play an entire game behind center this weekend. And just as I was about to upload this video, Sean Payton says he has not announced the starter. A starter has been named, but he has not announced it, so whatever the hell that means. Something. I don't know. I still think Taysom Hill's starting. If Adam Schefter reports it, you can bet on it, but maybe there's still a chance for Jameis. Justin Herbert got a haircut. He buzzed down those beautiful locks and Twitter went crazy. Just because Herbert has been making great decisions on the field doesn't mean he does the same off the field. We should have seen this coming when GQ wrote an entire article about how all Herbert eats is Subway sandwiches. In fact, his new haircut makes him look more likely to draw attention from former pedo Subway spokesman Jared. This reminds me of when Pauly Shore shaved his head for his Oscar award-winning role in the Army Now. It's shocking at first, but after a week, it'll appear to be the right move, especially if Herbert starts winning games with his new buzz cut. Seahawks Cardinals, Thursday Night Football. Neither Seattle or Arizona played really sound football in the Seahawks' 28-21 victory. Both teams made plenty of mistakes, which would have been fine had the officials not needed primetime attention, throwing a flag seemingly every other play, with the most costly being a holding call in the end zone in the fourth quarter that resulted in a safety to give Seattle a 4-point lead and the ball. There were 18 penalties in this game, accounting for close to 200 yards in penalty yards. Arizona didn't do themselves any favors with like 4 or 5 false starts without a crowd in the newly named Lumen Stadium. That terrible Seattle defense somehow held that high-flying Cardinals offense to their fewest first-quarter yards of the season. DeAndre Hopkins became the youngest receiver to get to 700 catches, making him most likely to eventually surpass teammate Larry Fitzgerald as the guy to just be in second place to Jerry Rice. Kyler Murray played most of the night with some sort of pain in his throwing shoulder. Even with that injury, his legs were still good enough to embarrass Jamal Adams. Murray should have run more in this game. He only finished with 15 rushing yards. Russell Wilson finished with less than 200 passing yards. The last time that occurred was Week 16 in 2019 to a loss to, yes, the Cardinals. However, Wilson was extremely efficient, completing over 80% of his throws, with both touchdowns going to DK Metcalf. And even without Chris Carson, Seattle grounded and pounded out 165 rushing yards as they reclaimed first place in the NFC West. Carlos Hyde scored a touchdown and Carlos Dunlap ended the game with the sack. And now, we wait for famed joke thief Carlos Mencia to resurrect his career to complete the trio of forgotten Carloses rising in 2020. If Seattle can continue on the path of not being the worst passing defense all time, they might actually emerge as the best team in the NFC West. Prove me wrong, Rams, and beat the Bucs this weekend. We did get a touchdown from Roseanne's fictional and former real-life husband and Cardinals tight end Dan Arnold. As you can see by that game day tweet, Dan bullies DJ on his way into the end zone. Again, Dan bullies DJ is my 4th favorite episode of Roseanne. The first 3 are all when Dan punches somebody or breaks shit in a fit of rage. That's how real dads act where I come from. And it was finally nice to see Vance Joseph properly using Isaiah Simmons on defense, who got his first career sack. And by properly using him, I mean letting him fucking play. This was just the second game VJ had him on the field for more than 50% of the defensive snaps. You'd think you'd want to play your first-round draft pick more, especially when he made the game-sealing pick Week 7 on just 5 total snaps to beat Seattle the first time. Basically, both of these teams have their offenses figured out. Whoever builds a real defense will have the most success moving forward. And like I said, I've got big dick Patreon shout-outs for new patrons. Esteban Reyes, Blue Ridge Mountain Plumbing, the best damn plumbing in Central Virginia, upping to $171 monthly donation. Alan Wiener with a yearly donation of $102. If you want to support this channel, patreon.com/thatsgoodsports is where you do it. We drop a Patreon-only video every week. It's our game predictions. So if you want Will Keys and my game predictions, they are on Patreon. Boom. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here on YouTube as well. I know I ask a lot, but who cares?